Going.
Hey, well, you have a lovely Sunday.
That was all right. Did the dishes, cooking. Haven't had dinner yet.
You must be
So,
a hungry boy.
a little bit. I don't know. I didn't really have much lunch either. I kind of just snacked on some stuff, but I could have probably even done without that. Um, what about you?
No, pretty chill day today. Did some chores. Getting ready for the work week. That kind of jazz.
Yeah, more work.
And it won't stop coming and it don't stop coming.
I called my parents yesterday and mentioned you going away, right, to work at the plant. And I made a comment about like, oh, they're only giving them extra,
Well,
a little bit a week. I was like, oh, the rest is kind of guest covered by housing and food. But I was like, you wouldn't need that unless they weren't telling you to come out anyway. So I'm like, you kind of should get more. And they're like, well, he's salaried, right? He's lucky to be getting anything. I'm like, that is a terrible, terrible worldview to have. Like it's 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I'm like, but he's salaried. I'm like, that doesn't mean shit. Like it's 40 hours a week. Just because you're salaried doesn't mean you can work 80 hours a week. And they'd be like, well, we were getting paid we expect you to do this much work. That's not how the world works.
It's a very old school mindset.
Yeah, well,
Very, very boomer.
it's a exploit me please mindset.
It's a different work culture back in the day, Sam.
Well, you say back in the day, I'm sure it still happens to my dad because he's on call sometimes, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't get paid extra for that.
No, I'm sure.
Which is bullshit because that is all he gets. Sometimes he gets calls at like 3 a.m. and he has to get up and get on the phone. If you're on call, you get extra money. That's just the way it works.
Only it were that simple.
Yeah. The world is dumb and people are greedy.
I think it may be the first person to have ever figured that out, Sam. We gotta tell people.
I cracked the code. I kind of had a lazy one after. I don't know, just kind of lazed about. Had some stuff I wanted to get done. Was going to work on my 3D modeling a bit.
Did you?
Then I had a tab open about Terraria, and I just started playing Terraria. That was part of why the reason I lost track of time.
Terraria will do that to you.
I was trying to get worm teeth. I was in a separate world, so we could craft thorns potions. We don't even need them that badly, but I was like, yeah, I just kind of want to have something to do while YouTube's on.
Something to do with your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, well, idle hands. You know what they say.
Make you jack off, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I made some tapioca pudding yesterday.
Okay, was it good? I don't think I've ever had tapioca pudding.
Frankly,
I don't even know what tapioca is. I'm gonna be honest.
So you know boba?
Yeah.
That's tapioca.
Really?
Literally the exact same thing as tapioca pudding. It's just those in pudding. That's why I like boba so much, because I love tapioca pudding.
Well, there you go.
But I followed the directions, but it came out kind of thin.
You like yours thick.
Yeah, well, it wasn't particularly pudding texture. It was more
soup,
thick milk texture. It wasn't quite that thin, but it wasn't as thick as I like it. So I've got more milk that I need to get rid of before it goes bad. So I might make some more and maybe test out putting some custard powder in there as well, because that would thicken it right up. Because that's what I used to get rid of my milk last time, is I made a double batch of custard. Oh, it's so good, but it's not good for you.
Or just, thicken it up a bit. Or just drink it like a liquid.
I
Just pour
did.
it
That's
into
how
a
I
cup.
finished it. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I'm joking.
It was like eating soup with a spoon, Cooper. At some point, you just pick up the bowl and you go.
Just slurp it down.
It was so thin. So. But that was good. It was called Minute Tapioca, but it took fucking half an hour.
Oh, they didn't say how many minutes.
That's true. That's true. Because you had to heat it on medium heat until it was at a boil that didn't go away when you stirred. And I don't know about you, but heating fridge temperature milk to a boil that doesn't stop when you stir it takes quite a long time.
Oh, that's part of the fun of thickening it up.
It didn't even get that thick, though.
Well, that's why you keep stirring. Just keep evaporating off. Eventually it thickens because the liquid goes away.
Well, then you don't want to curdle the milk.
That's true. It's a fine line, I'm sure. I've made pudding before, but not tapioca pudding.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't fancy at all. It was just 3 tablespoons the stuff, sugar, milk, and and a little bit of vanilla, and Bob's your uncle.
Well, there you go. First try for everything, and the next time you'll know what to do better, and you can make better pudding.
Yeah, better box
It's a
pudding.
learning process. Wow. Hey, pudding's pudding. It's good.
Yeah. But I got my favorite meal cooking upstairs, or one of my favorite meals, so I got that to look forward to after. So you want to get on into it? Because I didn't pee before this, so we're going to be playing with fire. And
you really did lose the track of time.
I did. I've got an empty 32-ounce cup of water, and I didn't pee. So let's see how quickly we can get through this now. We'll take our time.
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop Podcast. This week, we are looking at Venus and Mars by Wings. I'm going to say
Not
the Wings.
It's just
Wings.
Wings.
It just sounds better.
Even when it was Paul McCartney and Wings, they're just Wings.
Because you got the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of another example off the top of my head.
The Beatles.
The Beatles, right? You don't generally have single syllable bands.
How about Rush?
That's true. But that's not the norm. That's just one. And Wings, I guess. But yeah, looking at Venus and Mars by the Wings, Cooper had done quite a few suggestions, and I thought I had done a lot recently, but apparently not. So I thought we'd take a little look at some of Paul McCartney's work. Because have we done a McCartney album yet? I don't think
we've done Beatles albums, but we haven't done a McCartney album.
Well, because we did George Harrison.
We did.
We didn't do Lennon. We didn't. I guess it's really the only two I really care about are McCartney and George. So
you don't care about John Lennon?
No.
You don't care about Ringo?
And I can tell you a little bit about John Lennon's actually in the history of Wings a little bit.
Oh well, yeah. How about you give us the background on the Wings?
So this is the second album that Wings released, and this was 1975. The first was Band on the Run, very famous, of course. And that was just McCartney, his wife Linda, and guitarist Denny Lane.
Of Moody Blues fame.
Yeah. Good stand. But this is the 6th album that McCartney has released after the breakup of the Beatles in 1970. So 6 albums in 5 years. There's clearly a lot of creative energy that was being stifled by being in the Beatles. Not only George, but also McCartney. Venus and Mars peaked at number 1 in the US, UK, and a couple other countries that I'm not going to go name. However, Band on the Run was considered better, which I might agree. For some reason, I remember Venus and Mars being a lot better in my head. But maybe we'll do Band on the Run at some point as well. It's a very fun Guitar Hero song. Goes on forever. But getting into a little bit of the fun history of Wings, they have a little bit of a roster issue. So the original 3 are always constant, right? Paul McCartney, his wife Linda, and Denny Lane. It's always those 3. For this album, and by the way, they were the only 3 that worked on Band on the Run, so it was just a 3-person band. For this album, they brought on Jimmy McCulloch, on lead guitar, and Jeff Britton on drums. However, McCulloch and Britton immediately began fighting, and Britton left after just 6 months.
It's not a good tenure.
And he's only on 3 of the songs. So then they quickly brought in Joe English, who happens to be an American, but has the most plain name I've ever heard. Joe English. He was brought on to finish the album. Additionally, McCartney decided to have the songs kind of run together on this one, which I would say they kind of do sometimes, but not too often. But this appealed to John Lennon, who was in his self-described lost weekend period and feeling nostalgic. So, side note, the lost weekend period is what Lennon called the period of time he dated May Pang. Kind of a bit of a jackass, really, if you didn't know that about Lennon.
Oh.
I
think it's become a little more common knowledge.
Yeah, but
Lennon was
I started going down the rabbit hole, and dear Lord, do not, because I was like, why does he call it the lost weekend? And it was like, this is the period of time that he dated May Pang. I'm like, okay, who's May Pang? She was their assistant. Yoko Ono set them up together after they got divorced. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Don't go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, the Lost Weekend is reference to a book and movie of the same name where this dude's an alcoholic, and the only person that supports him in his life is his wife, but he keeps being a jackass and keeps drinking, and then he gets sober, and then he goes back to drinking. I don't know why you would self-proclaim that you're a piece of shit like that, but okay.
Feel like we're getting a little off of
anyway, but with the nostalgia, John Lennon actually, because of this album, kind of wanted to write music with McCartney again, but that didn't happen because he got back together with Yoko Ono, and that whole ball of worms. Interestingly, the cover art for this one is photographed by Linda. It's just 2 billiard balls, and that's the cover art. Well, of course, there's some typography on the side, but yeah, that's the history.
Venus is orange, Mars is red.
Yeah. It looks
stylistically
good. Yeah, stylistically good. Get on with it and jump into track number 1, Cooper.
Yes, let's track number 1, Venus and Mars. The title track. It's like a minute long, so it's really more just an intro.
Yeah, technically, Venus and Mars and Rock Show are considered one song, even though Rock Show is like 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, which
so
makes sense.
Tack another minute onto the front of it.
It's basically like an extended intro for Rock Show, even though they carry very different vibes.
Very, extremely different. But we got a really nice bit of synth to start the main line.
Oh yeah, and it's supported with a nice, lovely piano and guitar playing, and of course Paul McCartney, who does the singing on this album.
And then he says the thing. He says Venus and Mars.
I clapped.
I clapped when he said the title. Like I said, this is just an intro, which rolls into Rock Show, which combined Venus and Mars / Rock Show is the first single of the album. Well, it's the first single on the album, third single released. For some reason, they reversed the order of the singles. So 3 is first, second is second, first is third.
Who's to know how marketing works with album singles?
But we can get on into Rock Show if you're ready, Coop.
Yeah, track number 2, Rock Show. Which, like you said, there's kind of a lead-in with the intro, but beyond that, it's more of a classic rock throwback.
And when you say classic rock, you mean like classic rock, like 50s.
Yeah, I'm talking like early 50s. Like it's a well that Paul has drawn from many a time.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the nostalgia of it, right?
Yeah, it's old school.
Old school rock. Before they even added the roll.
Yeah. It's got some nice far off guitar in the distance with some interesting filters, which helps to not make it just a 50s rock song. And I really enjoyed at around 110, they use handbells.
I was wondering what that is. It's like some sort of chiming bell type thing.
Yeah. That's the sound that handbells make, because the rubber on the inside of the clapper has a very distinct ring when it hits. It's interesting. It fits, but it's an odd choice because usually to play handbells, you either have a very limited range with one person, or you got to get like 6 people to get a bigger range. But they've got a very unique style that managed to mesh in pretty well there.
Well, I'm sure Paul McCartney was able to, pull a couple strings and get some people in the studio.
I don't know. The handbell people are even more famous than the Beatles, I'd argue.
You thinking Paul might not have had the cloud in 1975?
No.
To get some handbellers in?
Yes, I'd like to hire you to play some handbells. And who are you? I was in the Beatles.
The Beatles. Mm-hmm. You guys, Ticket to Ride, right? Yeah, I remember that one. Was never a fan.
But this one, it's a long song, and it kind of goes through its paces. There's a really weird breakdown at 2:15 that gave me some Rocky Horror Picture Show vibes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like a spoken word that's like Paul's doing one of his silly voices that he likes to break out every now and then.
Yeah.
I mean, it carries the energy, but it's like, yeah, you're right. It's the song kind of jumps all over the place.
Yeah, it's a really odd intermission. And then it goes back to the old-timey rock thing for a bit. And then the song just ends with a minute left, and a new one starts, which is the worst case of miracle musical disease I've seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the intro already sounded nothing like the rest of the song anyway, so you could have just split that off into its own song, but they didn't. Not that it's a bad outro.
No.
It is just a very different outro. It's like a sort of piano jaunt over this like funky bass line.
Yeah, and then there's no like even they started a new song with a minute left, and then they faded out completely before moving on to track number 3. So they just wanted another song in there.
It's quite a few fade outs.
Yeah, not much rolling between tracks. Speaking of between tracks, ready to move to track number 3, Coop?
Let's do it. Track number 3. Love and Song.
Now I got a
stylistic turn, I'd say.
Yes, I got to admit, I got a really soft spot for McCartney's falsetto singing style. It's just really, I really love it. It's the classic. I guess it's just what he always did in the Beatles, and I think it fits his vocal style really well.
His softer vocals, which pair very well with his softer acoustic led love song.
And this album was actually originally recorded in quadraphonic.
You're gonna tell me what that is.
So basically front right, front left, back right, back left. So instead of stereo, there'd be 4 locations that sounds could come from.
Okay. What is the technical benefit of that?
I don't know. It just sounds cooler.
I mean, the name quadraphonic sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. You might want to double check me on that one. I looked that up last week when I initially picked Venus and Mars, so it's been a while. But there's some nice synth overlaid with the strings at 210 that just sounds great. Because the synth already had a little bit of sing-song characteristic to it, so paired with the strings just really makes it soar.
Oh yeah, the use of strings on this really on this entire album I think got very well. Obviously, I don't think Paul McCartney lacked resources in terms of getting good orchestral backing in these albums.
No.
And he used it well.
Are you a little bit far from your mic, Cooper? You're kind of getting quieter.
Oh, am I? Sorry about that. I was leaning back a bit.
You're good. I just didn't want my voice to deafen everyone compared to yours.
Here, just play. So my vocals are just in the left ear, and your vocals are just in the right ear.
So like somebody's sitting between us.
Yes.
You're in a flight, but we accidentally booked the wrong seats, so we booked them on aisle and window because neither of us wanted to sit in the middle.
Yeah, and if the listener doesn't like one of our opinions, they can just take that earbud out. That's right, Sam.
Man, that'd be a dick move, talking over the person in the middle on a flight. But yeah, there's a little bit of pizzicato as well with that 210 section. But it wasn't the violins and classical string instruments in an orchestra. It sounded I don't know what it was. It was very brief, and then it was never heard from again. So maybe it was the orchestra.
Disappeared.
Yeah, it was just there for a minute.
Yeah, the song never really breaks open, but it kind of maintains that kind of more melancholic, low-key vibe, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I really enjoy this song. This is one of my favorites, probably.
You think it's just a silly little love song?
I do like that one more. I won't lie. that one's better.
Still good love in song.
Yeah, but Silly Little Love Song's definitely the better love song. Jumping to track number 4, if you're ready, Coop.
Track number 4, You Gave Me the Answer, which is one of Paul's quote-unquote granny songs that John Lennon always despised.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were listening to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club
Every
Band
now and
again.
then Paul throws in like this like piano-led, like jaunty, like vocal filter, like he's talking like transatlantic English, Trans-Pacific English.
No, it was Atlantic.
Was it Atlantic? Yeah. But either way, it's like this kind of like a little. It's like a fun little jaunty, old timey, feel good song.
Yeah, and man, I don't understand why I didn't like these because, dang, is this a great song? They're fantastic woodwinds. I enjoy the radio filter on the vocals and some nice muted trumpets. Man, those are great.
Oh yeah, they're very good instrumentation. Trumpets especially, and then like the little. The whole song's basically kind of an extended, like a little woodwinds breakdown.
Yeah.
With piano backing. Something to mosey down the street to.
Mm-hmm. And there's a nice little section there in the middle where the woodwinds are in the left ear and the muted trumpets in the right. And they're perfectly balanced. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's extremely nice. It's definitely falls outside the purviews of a rock song, but
yeah.
At this point, obviously Paul's dabbled in many a genre.
Yeah, I would have liked to see this one go on a bit longer, actually, because it was pretty short, like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was a very short song, but I guess it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, but I feel like it just kind of walks in the door and then puts his hat back on and leaves, The woodwinds really were pulling me in, but I guess that, that's not what the average person buying this album would have wanted to hear, I suppose.
No, maybe they all like more the next song. Track number 5, Magdito and Titanium Man.
Which, can you believe this was not a single?
I'm surprised, because it's a delightful little tune.
And it's stronger than some of the other singles on this album.
It's definitely a little unconventional. But that mainline like vocal line, whew.
Oh, it's so good. And I really enjoy the fact that the only high part of the song, we get a little bit of lead guitar hovering kind of filtered far away, but it's mainly low synth, bass, all this low stuff, and then the vocals are the only higher part, which gives this really nice juxtaposition.
Yeah, this one has a very relaxed energy, but like it doesn't lack any forward momentum. And around the 130 mark, it kind of breaks into more energy as well. I'm not quite sure what the lyrics were talking about. I listened to the song several times. It's something about like a robbery. I'm not sure where Magneto and the Titanium Man comes.
So this is a comic book song, Cooper. It's referencing Magneto from Marvel.
Okay, so it's literally that Magneto.
Yeah, and Titanium Man and the Crimson Dynamo are both from Marvel as well.
There's a Titanium Man. Sam, there's only an Iron Man.
Okay, well, this was 75, Cooper, so the comics were a bit older then. But yeah, it's a comic book song. It's much like Led Zeppelin's Lord of the Rings song, you know?
Which is also kind of interesting because, it's a comic book song. So you expect it to be like, I don't know, the instrumentation to be maybe corny or like a lot more like, pow, whack,
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually kind of like really, it's like a low key jam.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this song. Especially that main sting in the vocal line during the chorus. The chord progression is just so pleasing to the ears.
Oh, yeah. It's got a great vocal performance. And the instrumentation, it helps back it up as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those backing vocals that add in on the end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just a fantastic song all around. And it was not a single. But
surprising.
Track number 6 was a single.
Really?
Yeah. Second single released.
I'll get into track number 6 then.
Letting Go. Yeah. It was a single somehow.
I mean, it's a more, I guess, straightforward rock song.
Yeah. It's not... It's straightforward. It's just kind of bland. I mean, it's good enough. It's got some great use of trumpets around 150, which launches straight off into a guitar solo with some nice saxophone in the background coming up underneath.
I'm definitely a big fan of those trumpets.
Mm.
And I do like the instrumentation of the whole song because that kind of like that brass that keeps popping up, not just the trumpets throughout the song has progressions, adds a nice feeling to progression to the song. I do agree where it's a little basic outside of the brass.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a very good song. I just don't think it compares to Magneto and the Titanium Man. I will say this gives me some great vibes if you're like driving through the city late at night on a highway as the streetlights flash past. It kind of gives me that feeling.
Do you want to stop by the Arby's? I'm a little bit peckish. No, Paul. We're driving.
And then right there at the end, some classic rock organ peeks its head up just a little bit. It's like, I'm here too.
Some of that more later in the album.
Yeah. We don't hear too much classic rock organ nowadays. I guess it kind of is a cliche instrument, but I enjoy hearing it where it fits. And the song does stay fresh whole way through, mainly due to the instruments. The lyrics and vocals are just kind of meh.
Yeah, it certainly didn't catch me as much as Magneto.
Yeah.
But, vocals, vary a little bit throughout this album.
Yeah. It's just a little repetitive on this one, but the instruments really carry it, I think. Jump into track number 7 if you're ready, Coop.
Yes, track number 7, Venus and Mars, Reprise.
Which is longer than the original.
Which I actually like because I really like the first intro, but it only lasted a minute, so I'm glad we got a little bit more of it later on.
Yeah. This is actually almost double the length of the original, so you get twice as much.
To me, it kind of maintains that acoustic, spacey, sparse, instrumentation with, Paul's vocals kind of being the heavy lifter there.
Mm-hmm. And this one has some little electronic bleeps that pop up around 115 and live in the background for a little bit, and then we get some really loud space sounds. That's the only thing I can describe it as, that just are constantly moving around. It works, but it's odd.
And it's called Venus and Mars, so having a space theme makes sense. It's definitely a little odd, and but it kind of melds into the next song in the track, which is odd to say the least.
Yeah.
It's still, which
track number 8.
Yeah, Spirits of Ancient Egypt,
which
I can only describe as like half like kind of a mysterious, more mythical kind of song mixed with like a classic 50s rock song.
I thought it was half sock hoppy. It's pretty sock hoppy.
Yeah, I was saying with the 50s.
Yeah. It was at this song I was like, hold on, I don't know if I know any other album where every single title of a song is part of the chorus.
I mean, it's 70s rock.
Yeah.
So,
but
had to
I
make it
don't think we've listened to anything where it's stuck out this much.
Oh, the choruses can be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But yeah, this song is odd. Like I said, it's kind of got like that kind of sparse, mysterious backing at some points, but then it kind of has a more sock hoppy line throughout the chorus.
Well, no, the chorus is the one
very...
that's the mysterious. It's when it comes out of the chorus.
Sorry, I'm getting this flipped around. What I'm saying is not thematically consistent with it itself.
No, and I really like the chorus. The chorus is very pretty and nice, and I like the vocal lines, and the lyrics are fun. And then you get out of the chorus, and you're just like, well, this doesn't work.
Yeah, and also I don't think the singing is like very good on this one outside the chorus.
It's okay. It's better than the singing outside the chorus.
I don't know, like compared to like, Love and Song, or like it's just it seems a little half-hearted.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they would have been much better just sticking with a single style.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they were going for. Like with Rock Show, at least, it's like, okay, it's like the last minute's like a completely different song, but it's not like it's like an outro, right? Mm-hmm. Style shift. This one's like it's like clearly just two ideas battling it out, which doesn't really play out.
No, it does not. It just ends up being awkward and whiplashy.
But don't worry, they added beeping back at the end. Everyone's favorite sound effect in music.
Jumping to track number 9, if you're ready, Coop.
Yes, track number 9, Medicine Jar. Another rockin' one, and this got some rock organ in it, Sam.
Yeah, and this was another one, because I've listened to a lot of Wings stuff, but often what I'll do is I'll be working in the back somewhere at work, and I'll just bring up best of or something on the computer to listen to while I'm working. And this was one that I thought was more famous than it actually was. Surprisingly, it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page for it. Which I think might be because it was not sung by McCartney and there wasn't enough controversy behind the writing of the song, I guess. But
there was controversy?
Well, no, usually that's how you get a Wikipedia page, right?
Okay.
This one was controversy-free. And it's not McCartney. It's McCulloch.
Okay. I like the kind of rock organ vibe this song carries.
Yeah.
And it's kind of high backing vocals that kind of lead the song out as well. And there's some nice progression here, even if it's a kind of not like particularly standout song on the album.
No, I mean, I really enjoy it. There's a really nice duet at 1:45 with a line in each ear, instrumental duet. The right is really powerful. I think it's the guitar. I don't know why I didn't write down the instruments here. That was my mistake. But it's much more powerful and bleeds slightly into the left, which kind of gives this more 3D feeling to the soundscape.
The soundscape. The mental picture they're painting.
Yeah.
I don't have too much to say on this one. It's a good song.
Yeah. I will say, though, I think Linda's vocals did most of the heavy lifting on this one, because her harmonies take an otherwise kind of flat delivery style to a whole other level. I think
she's the drummer in this band, right?
No, she's another vocalist. She also wrote most of the songs with Paul. Or maybe she played drums. I don't think she played drums in this. But this one was actually written by McCulloch and Colin Allen.
Allen?
Who probably was the drummer on the song as well.
Okay.
A lot of the roster, just know that it was the McCartneys and then Denny Lane. That's the core.
And others.
They just bring in random people sometimes for a single song, and then that's it. Hey, you're in Wings for this song. Okay, now you're not.
You are now Wings.
Yeah. Jump into track number 10.
Track number 10, Call Me Back Again. Which, again, we're going back to a throwback song. But this is like a kind of a 50s love song style,
Yeah, nice and bluesy. Got some
with the plinging piano, steady guitar strums,
looping guitar lines to kind of draw you in and fixate you a bit.
Which I've never had much love for the 50s rock and roll style, but I can dig a nice classic 50s love song.
Yeah, and this is definitely more bluesy than just straight 50s rock.
Right.
Because we get some saxes coming in during the guitar solo, much needed saxes, I'd say.
Yes, a little bit of brass never hurts. I mean, this is the longest song of the album, or second longest, I should say.
Now, Cooper, technically, saxophones are wind instruments.
Or woodwinds,
because they use a reed. They are made of brass often, but
someone should make a wooden sax.
Oh, I bet somebody has.
But the reed is metal.
that would sound horrible.
I didn't say it sounded good. I just think it'd be funny. And then they'd be like, well, actually, this is a brass instrument, even though it's made of wood. Because the reed is brass.
Well, I guess, would it still be a woodwind because it's a reed, right?
Oh, that seems a little unfair to brass instruments if it doesn't work both ways.
Well, if you had a wooden mouthpiece for a trumpet, you wouldn't call it a woodwind. That'd still be brass.
And yet they do it for saxophones. I guess at that point, maybe it's not even a saxophone anymore.
Yeah, I think it's.
I'm not sure how you make a brass reed.
Because if you're using a reed, it doesn't matter what it's made out of. I would argue that's a woodwind, right? Because that's what defines a woodwind. You've got the mouthpieces, and then you've got the reeds. I think that's the divider.
Okay, someone make a saxophone, but the mouthpiece is like a trumpet mouthpiece.
Oh, that would be. Next time you go on a rant, I'll look it up and see if I can find it before the end of the podcast.
I'm not even sure what kind of chimera abomination that would even sound like.
Oh,
probably sound closer to like a tuba.
Somebody's tried it.
I would hope so.
Band kids have too much free time sometimes.
To not be Mitch and Macton.
Yeah.
Anyway. The fact that it hasn't caught on makes you wonder if it's any good.
Well, maybe it just hasn't been discovered yet. You think Glockenspiel was in every song across the face of the planet instantly?
Finally, I can invent the brassophone.
But the most egregious part of the song is the minute-long fade.
Yeah, this album's chronically fading in terms of. I mean, I guess it's not like uncommon for 1970s. To have just the fade be the ending, but like it's like every other song in this album.
But this one is a minute. And it gets quiet fast, and the last like 15 seconds are pure silence.
Makes you wonder if you accidentally turned off your iPod.
Yeah, like you're accidentally sitting on the volume down or something. No, it just fades for that long. Because I could slowly hear my typing getting louder and louder. I'm like, oh, hold on, isn't there like a minute left?
I always wonder why they do that. Like a 20-second fade, sure.
Yeah.
That's a way to end out a song, but like a minute? Unless it like thematically like ties back into the album somehow, but this one just goes into the next song, so.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is they're really wanting to hype you up for track number 11, but it kind of does that itself.
I mean, it's one of the singles of the album, sure.
Yeah.
But,
The first single number 1, and the last to appear.
We'll just jump into it. Track number 11. Listen to What the Man Said. Which I would argue is probably the most famous song off this album.
Yes, and part of the reason I recommended it. This is one of the tracks on my chilling playlist.
And it is quite chilling. Chilly. No, it's a chill song.
Yeah.
Which has a very strong central groove.
Yeah, both Call Me Back Again and Listen to What the Man Said were recorded in New Orleans. How would you say New Orleans if you were British?
New Orleans. Oh, if you're British? New Orleans.
New Orleans, probably.
Oh, wait. How does Paul McCartney talk again?
Oh, I can't do a Beatles impression. They all talk the same.
I loved going down to. I can't do a Paul McCartney.
That's one voice I wish I could do is Beatles, because you just do one of them and you can pretend you're any of them.
Subtle differences between the Beatles.
Yeah, but once you get one, you could probably just push it a little bit to get get between them.
I was talking to Paul, and he said I was going down to New Orleans.
Yeah. So I'd say that's a pretty good Ringo.
Ringo is a little bit lower in the register.
Yeah.
Peace and love.
Anyway, back to the song.
Yeah.
We got some bongos in here. We got some woodwinds. We got some classic McCartney-style singing. I mean, what more could you want?
A little bit of sax.
Oh.
Really add to that smooth rock aspect of the song.
Well, you're in luck then, Cooper, because there's a nice sax solo around 135.
Well, there you go.
And there's some flute that's fluttering around in the background from ear to ear, which is very nice. It's just a really chill song.
It's got big parts, but it never feels cluttered. It's very easygoing.
Mm-hmm. After that sax solo as well, we get the harmonies start to come in for the vocal line. That really builds up. It gets a lot bigger, but still retains that kind of laid back feeling. Yeah,
it's a very it keeps forward momentum, but never rushes itself. It's exactly 4 minutes, keeps its energy, and even ends on this nice little like a violin vocal led play out with some falsetto in it.
Yeah,
with violin being paired with the sax.
That one I never understood kind of where it was going with that, because the ending of it definitely sounds like it's trying to lead into something, right? Because there's the big style change at 3:45. Sax is really the only tie-in to kind of give it connection to the earlier part of the song. It got a little bit similar in the themes being played, but then it kind of does that harp do 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 like you're going up to something, except it doesn't mesh with the next song whatsoever.
No. It leads into the song decent.
It's okay, but it makes it feel like it's going to be grander or a better roll between than it is.
Yeah, maybe a bit grander, but I feel like it's definitely a lead-in into track number 12. Treat Her Gently, Lonely Old People. I think it's a decent enough lead-in.
It's okay. It especially when you listen to it on its own, it leads to some interesting transitions to whatever song is next on your playlist.
Right. That's fair.
But Lonely Old People, or Treat Her Gently, which they just took two names and slapped them together. Treat Lonely Old People Gently.
No, treat her lonely old people gently.
Sure.
Treat gently people old her.
THGLOP. I'll just call it
classic.
LOP. It's LOP. This is some beautiful grand piano in there, and there's this really odd filtered guitar popping up every once in a while. Did you hear that at all?
Like within this song specifically?
Yeah, it was there. It was like it within the first 30 seconds that it came up, and I don't think it came back. It was just like very briefly. I didn't notice
anything odd in terms of the filtered guitar. I guess maybe slightly. I mean, there's definitely some instrumental flourishes throughout this song, that help the vocal performance hold it up.
Man, maybe it was just one of those, but I was like, oh, this kind of doesn't really fit with the style you're going for here. But it was good enough. We got some nice harp coming in at 2 minutes as well.
Nice harp, good piano, good violin pairing.
Vocals are
Paul's vocals.
Yeah, they're arranged so that the main is in your right and the harmonic is in the left, with a little bit of bleed over from the right again, which gives some cool effects. Really,
this song's definitely the it's the play, the bar's closing play out song. Mm-hmm. It's a little sad, it's a little low key, but it kind of has enough instrumental flourishes and good vocal performances to keep it above water.
Yeah, and it shows that Paul McCartney knows how to use stereo, unlike early Beatles.
Hey, by mid-70s, if you didn't know how to use stereo. To be fair, it was a newish technology in the 60s.
Yeah, still, I mean, I guess headphones weren't really that common, right?
Yeah, I mean, who's using headphones besides literal, sound editing guys?
Yeah.
How were they going to know that, in 50 years, people would be carrying around, their vinyl in a square that they kept in their pocket that they could just listen through headphones anytime they wanted to?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, that's why people now mix it for all sorts of things. They mix it for speakers, headphones. I imagine when Bone headphones become more popular, that's a couple songs are going to start sounding pretty bad.
Bone headphones?
Yeah.
The ones that like vibrate your
Yeah. Instead of you stick in your ear, it vibrates like your jawbone or your skull a little bit so that you can hear it.
Crank up the bass and give yourself a concussion.
Maybe they won't.
I should note that we
Cooper.
So I'm not sure if that affected the stereo mixing at all.
You completely cut out there. You're gonna have to repeat yourself.
Oh, sorry. I said we should mention that we listened to the 2014 remaster of this album, which I'm not sure if that affected the stereo mixing at all.
Yeah, it might have. The only thing I can think of is, like I said before, it was originally mixed quadraphonically.
So yeah, maybe there were some adjustments made there.
Yeah. But there was nothing that stuck out to me. But then again, we listened to the Beach Boys, the updated one as well. I'm sure we'd have much different opinions if we listened to the original of that.
Hey, just because you don't like having cowbell entirely in your left ear, and that's
only
on you.
Cowbell in the left, everything else in the right. Jump into track number 13 if you're ready, Cooper.
Yes, track number 13, the final track, Crossroads.
Yeah.
Which is really just like a minute-long outro, a little thematic bow to the end of the album.
Mm-hmm. Got some nice faded guitar in there, duetting with the layers of strings. Now, I don't know about you, Cooper, but I heard an end to the song. But you know what they did? They faded.
They faded it out.
There was an end,
at a 1 minute
but they
song.
faded it.
It's actually, and if you listen, it's like a very definitive, classic rock, this is the end of the song. But they faded that definitive end.
I was like, if you're going to have a definitive, the point of having the fade is when you're like, I don't know how to end this song. So you just keep playing and fade it out. That's the point of the fade. You don't have a definitive end to a song and then fade into that definitive end. It just sounds awkward.
Takes the wind out of your sails.
Yeah.
And then it had this little, I guess it ended on like a little vocal clip of Paul or someone saying no, we're done here. Which, cute, sure.
Yeah.
But you could have also had the actual end of the song.
Yeah, you could have ended the song, 2 seconds of silence, and then had the vocal. That would have been fine. I don't know. That peeved me a little bit.
It's a little more egregious when it's like the end of the album. It's a minute song.
Yeah. I mean, any song that you have an end, play the end.
You're allowed to.
Just play the end of the song.
No one's gonna stop you.
Yeah. But that's Venus and Mars. Now, Cooper.
That is the album.
Let's do least favorite first, because I think we might be in agreement on this one.
Yes.
What would your least favorite be?
My least favorite would have to be Spirits of Ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
Just a weird melding of ideas on this song that does not pan out. I won't go too far into the details. I think we made it pretty clear. I'm assuming it's yours as well.
Yeah, it is as well. Everything else was not as bad as that. I mean, I really disliked the end of Crossroads, but other than that, it's great, and it's also a minute. So
it's hard to really even give it a good or a bad.
Now, what about your favorite, Cooper?
In terms of favorite, I'm kind of torn between Magdito and the Titanium Man.
Mm-hmm.
And Listen to What the Man Says. Any of the songs have the word man in it.
Aren't we matching today?
Oh. Are you the same?
Well, I have a definitive.
You're a Listen to What the Man Said.
Yeah, of course. I listen to that song so much because I use that chilling playlist to, calm down, relax a little bit. Or if I'm just feeling, mellow and I want to have something on that matches my mood. It's a fun song. It's one I listen to a lot and I can't see myself getting bored of. However, I had forgotten about Magneto and the Titanium Man. Because like I said, I don't listen to the Wings as consistently as some people do. But man, I forgot how good that song was, and especially that vocal lick. It really sticks in your ear.
Yeah, no, it's an extremely solid hook. And then, like I said, Magneto and the Titanium Man, got to give a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a. It's also got a really solid synth backing.
Mm-hmm.
The I mean, the lyrics are kind of nonsensical and comic booky, but
Yeah.
the melodies, whew.
It's so bassy as well, which is very different. It's a very different style than I mean, granted, almost everything on this album is different style from everything else aside from the 2 Sock Hop songs, but just really bassy, and it feels ahead of its time almost.
No, completely agree. Those are great. Both great songs.
Mm-hmm.
And well, now that we've said our favorite release, I think it's time to get on to our rating of the album.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do it, Coop? I think I did it last time.
Well, thank you. Well, here at the audio shop, me and Sam, we despise foot travel.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been on record several hundred times saying that, the legs were humans' worst invention. We should have just been born with wheels so we could drive everywhere.
We were on
Luckily,
the judge's side in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes, exactly. We don't want to be bipeds. We want to be bi wheels. I'm sure there's an actual technical term. What we're saying is that
it's called a Segway, I think.
Is that I wish the Cars movie was a documentary, not a fictional cartoon. So, of course, with our love of all things cars, we had to make our podcast car themed, and that means our rating is car themed. So, at the tip top, the cream of the crop, you got showroom. This is the best of the best. The stuff you always want to show your friends and family, because this is something that cannot be missed. And then all the way on the bottom, you got scrapyard. Bottom of the barrel, scraping the bottom of the gunk off the bottom, like on the outside bottom of the barrel, not even the inside bottom, the outside bottom. That's how bottom it is. Or you never want to listen to it again, and honestly, you regret listening to it the first time. And
possibly
then in between,
actually physically hurts you.
It might actually cause emotional damage. And then in between, you got like new fixer upper used rental. You might get that a higher load depending on your mood that day. So with that all said, Sam, what is your rating for this album?
I think I'm going to give this a pretty solid like new. It's pretty good all around. I'd recommend listening to it. There's room for fixes. Spirits of Ancient Egypt is really bad, and you should probably fix that. There's just a couple of spots where it's like, well, you really are trying to have flow between, but you don't. You had a fade here. If you're gonna flow between, take advantage. Do the flow, right? I think it could get up to showroom, but really the two stars do a lot, and the rest are just like, yeah, it's a pretty good song. I don't think there's any benefit really listening to it as an album as a whole, back to back, songs back to back. It definitely feels like you could just kind of pluck and listen to any of them wherever, because there's not, like I said, the flow between is not really a thing. But overall, I enjoy the album.
I'm mostly in agreement. I'll probably give it like a low like new. Kind of pretty close to a high fixer upper. Not to say this album's bad at all. It's a highly competent album. It's Paul McCartney, 75 post Beatles. Man knows how to make music.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. There's no like real through line throughout this album. I mean, besides maybe Venus and Mars having a reprise and the Crossroads kind of being similar. It's mostly just like a gaggle of different songs that go from anywhere from kind of like Paul's Granny songs to kind of like a sock hop songs to kind of more smooth rock. So you're bound to run to something that you like, but you're also bound to run to something you don't like on this album. So definitely worth listening. It's good, and even a couple songs are great. But I think overall it's kind of like it's not like going to be like this is Paul McCartney's best work.
No.
It's very confident work, very good work.
I will say, though, Listen to What the Man Said probably is one of them.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, a couple of great ones on here. Just I'm not sure if they, elevate the album as a whole, which certainly has some weak points and basically no album consistency.
Even though he claimed he was trying to go for album consistency.
I mean, if he was, this is like, maybe he meant that like ironically, because
I don't know. Well, maybe it wasn't consistency. It was just flowing between songs, which he doesn't even really do anyway. So
yeah, I mean, fading out into another song does not make it a flow.
No,
it makes it a radio edit.
Yeah.
You faded out your last song, Paul. I'm on to you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you
This
guys.
is going to ruin Paul McCartney.
I think you're a little late, Cooper. How many years ago was 75?
Almost 50.
Yeah. I think he's doing okay. Thank you all for listening to the Audio Shop podcast. Now we're going to roll on over to the spare tire. That's the end of Venus and Mars. And now it's just whatever else we've been listening to for the past week. So, Cooper, you got anything you've been listening to?
Yeah, I've listened to I've been listening to this album or this artist called Adoy. They're this this Korean-based kind of dreamy like synth pop band that I've quite been enjoying, honestly. So I definitely would recommend them. I also listened to I guess the theme here is I also listened to another Taipei-based band. Also was very kind of, easy listening pop band. And I don't know. I've really been in kind of this kind of mellow, kind of dreamy pop mood from like Taipei in Korea was kind of the main thing I was listening to this last week. I don't know. I was particularly in that mood, but that's where I was. All right, good. Easy listening.
Yeah. I've been listening to a little bit of Eastern Asian music as well. It's just more YMO, honestly.
They are in Eastern Asia.
Yeah, I threw Miracle Musical back into the mix as well.
Ooh, getting spicy.
A little bit of Hawaii Part 2, but yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of new listening. I saw there was there's some new releases that I need to listen to because I know there was what was it? Wasn't there a new King Gizzard song?
There's a new song. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm assuming it's leading up to an album. They release like 3 albums a year. So,
but I like listening to their new stuff just to see how it is, and then wish that they did more collaboration with Mild High Club again.
Good album. It's a good album.
Yeah, but that's the podcast because I don't have anything to add other than Electric Light Orchestra. So,
the Electric Light Orchestra.
No, the on that one. Well, is there? No, there's not. Well, at least not on Jeff Lynne's ELO.
The Jeff Lynne.
Thank you so much for listening to the Audio Shop podcast. If you've liked what you heard, you can scroll down into the description on Twitch. There's a picture of Jeff Lynne because I have control of the Twitch and Cooper does not. And you can click on that and it'll take you to our YouTube where all the past episodes minus Supertramp are. And if you're on YouTube listening, you can come on over to Twitch. It's in the description and listen to us live and yell at us in the stream chat and tell us that we're stupid and to show up on time and stop playing Terraria. What about the Twitter, Cooper?
Yes, you can also follow us at Audio Shop Pod. That's POD on Twitter. We'll keep you updated on what we're listening to. You may not be getting much updates within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Work's going to be taking me away, but we'll let you know when the next review is coming out, and you'll be the first to know if you follow us at Twitter.
Yeah, so that's going to be probably 3 weeks to a month, right?
Yeah, something along those lines.
I assume you're going to put out something on the Twitter sometime.
Yeah.
To say, hey, we're going to be gone until at least this date.
Fortunately, our biggest fan, Paul McCartney, will have to just wait without us.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to listen to us anymore after this episode, Cooper. I'll be honest.
Oh, they were pretty mean, but very, very. I don't know why I can't do a Paul McCartney. I don't know why I keep trying.
Hey, you only get better by trying.
That's true.
So probably the next one at the earliest would be the 17th, right, of April.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to hear back from us until April at least.
Yeah, because you're gone most of the rest of time.
Yes, well, consider it a spring break.
Yeah, a belated month-long spring break. If only we got that when we were at college.
A sabbatical.
I think we already used a couple of those earlier this year, Cooper.
Hey, we're cashing them all in.
Yeah. But so much for our goal of having 52 episodes this year. I thought we released a few episodes last year. This year's going to be like... We'll be lucky to hit double digits at this rate.
Quality over quantity, right?
That's... Again, I think you'd have a lot of people argue with you on that point. All right.
We peaked in episode 3.
God, no. Have you listened back to our first couple episodes? They are really bad.
No, of course not. I would hate to listen to those.
Especially the Billie Eilish, for the very first one. That was not good. Matt was extremely
We're
kind.
figuring out the format. You know, everyone's got their growing pains.
I think we're a lot better now at also reading each other's conversation speed on Discord, which you just helped there by completely leaving that silence longer than it needed to be.
I wasn't sure what you were saying by that.
I mean, like early on, we talked over each other a lot.
Oh, that's true.
And now we can kind of even talk at the same time, but still be communicating with each other if we do happen to run over just a little bit.
Well, of course, we fixed that by I record my lines first, and then Sam listens back, and I just leave spaces for him to respond to them. So it feels like a conversation, but he could just kind of edit it afterwards to make it sound like it's a better conversation.
Yeah. But I mean, I do have to send you
That's right, Sam.
Yeah, I do have to send you that script of what to say.
Yes, exactly. So it's like a choreographed dance.
Yeah.
It takes about 30 hours of work a week.
You know, if we have a script, we probably should just record it live. That'd probably be easier.
Someone would listen to a live podcast? Come on. This isn't theater.
Oh, hey, Matt. How are you? Anyway, that's the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we will see you at some indeterminate point in the future. Probably April 17th. Sorry, Cooper's a working lad.
It happens. So until then, we'll see you later, shoppies.
See ya.